So this guest lecture will focus on, as the title says, the role of PR in search marketing. We're going to look at a tiny little bit of theory as to why PR is particularly important in search marketing. So things that you probably already know, which is why we're going to touch upon it, such as the value of a link and the increasing importance of social shares within search. Primarily though, we're both from a PR background, so we're going to look at the tactics that we use on a daily basis, with hopefully some really clear examples of the work we do and how we go about achieving the results we do. So without further ado, we'll introduce ourselves.
So as we said, we'll just give you a bit of an overview of who me and Steve are. I'm Simone and I have been working at Propellernet for just over a year now. My background is mainly from traditional PR. I started to see the opportunity that the industry was moving much more into digital and online about 3 or 4 years ago. The agency I was working with at the time were a bit slow to kind of keep up with that, so I decided to move on. That's how I ended up at Propellernet. So that's a little bit about me.
And for me, you can almost read exactly the same as Sim, just in sort of mail format really, because I had exactly the same PR background, saw that the industry was moving far more towards digital, so I decided to make that move. And just a little bit further background, you can see from these rather cheesy website photos, they weren't ones that we chose or took, they were taken by our company. We had to kind of pick a theme that we liked, so I like football, you like comics and stuff?
Well actually I just wanted to wear that shirt, but that was kind of the reasoning.
You probably saw there as well that I'm within Propellernet. We have a travel, retail and fashion focus. I'm primarily in the travel team, although I cross over into fashion and senior more in retail.
Retail and fashion, yes. So as we mentioned before, Propellernet is a digital marketing agency and we cross over retail, travel, fashion and finance. And behind that we have, these are just some of the clients that we're working with. So you can see we've got some really small clients but also some really nice big names like M&S and Waitrose. And predominantly for our clients, the idea is that they want to be more visible in Google. So obviously on a case-by-case basis, we will then take each client and adapt our tactics and what we do in Propellernet to each client.
This diagram, you may have seen this before, a variation of this. This by and large is how we're organised, and it reflects how Google primarily, but the other search engines actually rank sites, so for specific terms. It's basically their algorithm, or our best guess. Google never releases what exactly its algorithm is, because then everyone can kind of cheat the system, so to speak, but this is primarily how it's structured. The top portion, the solid technical foundations, is not our remit, but we have a strong technical team at Propellernet, and that's the thing we will always tackle first, because unless you have the technical foundations in place on site, Google won't be able to read it properly, they won't be able to know what it's about, what it should rank for, so all of the content and the links and shares you gain will kind of be pointless and be lost. As I said, we're PR focused, so we're primarily going to focus on the sort of the green circle in the bottom right, which is earned links and shares, and the tactics that we use to actually generate those links and shares. An important thing to note at Propellernet, we don't ever pay for links. A lot of companies still pay for links, and it was a tactic that was used, is still used, but was used widely sort of 5-10 years ago. People would go out to sites and sort of say, I'll give you X amount of money if you give me a link from your website to my site, so it passes authority in Google's eyes. We don't do that. We focus on a PR-led approach, so we go out and actually earn all of the links. It's more authentic in Google's eyes, and Google actually punishes sites that they know are paying for links. So it used to just be really all about the links. Even when I started at Propellernet about 2.5 years ago, it was all about just gaining links from other sites to our client sites. But Google's increasingly experimented with social signals within its algorithm. So social signals, just like links, are seen as a recommendation for your content. So, for example, if thousands of people are linking to, let's say, Marks and Spencer's, that's who we work with, if thousands of people are sort of tweeting links to different pages in the Marks and Spencer's website, Google sees that, this content is useful for, I don't know, whatever the link is, men's suits or lingerie or something, so it will rank it higher within Google because it sees it being recommended. it's still not known exactly to what extent social signals are playing a part. There's lots of theory and lots of people within the industry kind of talking about it, doing various experiments, but we've done our own experiments and we can definitely see it having an impact, but we're not entirely sure. So some of it is kind of like best guess.
I suppose on that, for example, the client I'll talk to you about is Kiddie Care in a moment. We've done some kind of testing with Twitter, where we've done some sort of retweet sort of activity, and we have seen positions in Google for those terms rise quite quickly, but it's very short burst. So as we said, it's still an area where social signals is a bit grey. So.
You can also see the bottom left corner, engaging and useful content. There's a crossover with kind of earn links and shares. I'll be touching upon that as well. I'm actually going to look at one of our clients and a specific strategy that we deployed using content to gain links and shares. So we're definitely going to touch upon that because, again, that's become more significant. You need really good quality content to link to, because otherwise you're linking to nothing and Google won't see you as an authority in the area you want to be an authority in.
So as Steve touched upon, this is just a really nice quote from one of our clients at Propellernet. We, as Steve said, have been not paying for links for several years now because we were ahead of the game in terms of seeing that there was this link between authentic editorial PR and the importance online and marrying that up with SEO. So our clients obviously view that as brilliant because we're advising them well ahead of the rest of the industry, and we continue to try and do that, and that's why many of our clients stay with us for a long time, and are very happy for us to then testing social signals and things because we are ahead of the game there. And also on that, just because again we've realised the importance of this, all of the influencers that we talk to, so whether that's online press or bloggers or community influencers, we understand that it's so important to research into what they're interested in writing about, how to approach them, and a lot of what me and Steve and the team do is spent really looking into that. So again, we have this great database of these amazing relationships with those online influencers, and they recognise us as well, that we are really good in what we do, and they're always saying nice things about us as well, which is fantastic.
Yeah. So for example, with a blogger, we'd never send them like a sort of a straight press release and expect them to cover it and give a link back to our site. We have to sort of thoroughly research them, understand what they write about, the potential link to our client. Do we send them on a press trip to experience something? Do we send them a product to review? Do we work with them in a different way? So really it's all about understanding the influencers so that you gain what you want to gain and the influencer gets something out of it. It's got to be a mutually beneficial relationship.
Yeah, and then from learning that as we go along, we know then which projects they suit best and what clients they're suited to. So we can make really great targeted recommendations for our influencers then.
So how do we go about gaining links and social shares? I'm pleased this slide's worked because when we were putting together the presentation, it was an absolute nightmare to put together. I've got no idea why I did it in sort of circles or bubbles or tried to make it look pretty. I could have just done a list, but hopefully you appreciate the aesthetics of it. This is just a snapshot of our tactics for cultivating authority toolbox. By no means exhaustive, it's not all of the tactics we use. But all of these tactics are designed to drive links and social shares of our coverage and content for direct SEO benefits. So you've got things like media engagement, writing press releases, editorial features, reactive pitching company assets, that kind of thing. In social outreach, you have Twitter competitions, Twitter influencer outreach, blogger challenges, that kind of thing. Lots of blogger relations down there. As I said, it's by no means exhaustive because we have to be flexible. That's part of the role of PR within search marketing and digital marketing. We have to react to changes within the industry. We can't just keep using the same tactics day after day because we have to be aligned with what Google is looking for, and they do kind of move the goalposts quite a lot. So for example, this week, I don't know if you've heard the name Matt Cutts, who's the head of sort of link spam or sort of quality guidelines at Google. He often is asked questions about the value of certain tactics, and one of the tactics that was used a lot within SEO was sort of guest blogging. So I'm from M&S, I offer a guest blog to, I don't know, Cosmopolitan, let's say, and I'll write about women's wear in some way, and I gain a link back. I don't know why that example came to me, but I'll gain a link back to the M&S site for that. But Matt Cutts this week has said that guest blogging ultimately is kind of dead to the SEO industry, because it was an authentic tactic, it was used widely, but now it's just being spammed, and you have companies that even contact us, they obviously haven't researched us that well, who will say, oh, for X amount we'll get you on sort of tons of blogs, and it's very low quality and it's not what Google's looking for. So we have to be flexible. We constantly change this. We have a room in Propellernet basically where you can draw along the walls, and we're sort of changing things around constantly. So, but that's just a snapshot, and we're going to take you through some really clear examples of most of this today.
But just going back to the tactics side, some of you may have noticed that there are some very traditional PR-based tactics on there that, you know, as we're trying to get across today, that at the bottom of this, PR is still really important, and those, you know, the kind of overlying idea of that still fits in really well. However, in the last few years, there has been a huge decrease in kind of the print media, so that has had a knock-on effect on traditional PR. As you can see, we've got some stats here that there's been an 11% decline in print media, but there's been a 44% incline in online. So that again just proves, you know, the point that SEO and PR have to kind of marry up and work together. Also, obviously, the industry is changing very much. You know, lots of people are shopping online now. So again, this is where this really helps our clients. But as we said, lots of these tactics are still very relevant to what we're doing online as well.
And a final quote before we go on to some sort of practical examples from our clients. This is that guy Matt Cutts again, who notes it's quite an old quote. It's from 2008, so 2014, that was 6 years ago. He has said, and this is what we base our PR approach on, and what good search marketing companies, good SEO companies will do. He says, what are the links that will stand the test of time? It is an editorial link by someone that's informed. They are not tricked, there is no bait and switch involved. Key word there really is editorial. That's why PR plays an important part. You have to earn the link. You have to go to an editor of a website or a blog owner and actually earn that link. You don't go to them and say, we'll pay for one, or if you give us a blog, then we'll give you a blog. It shouldn't be sort of a link swap. That was a sort of a common tactic used for many years. So we've based our whole PR approach really on earning links by someone that's informed. So that's kind of a crucial quote that we often trot out to sort of new clients and now you as well.
So we're going to go through some practical examples of what we've done with clients within Propellernet. So we're going to touch upon two different types of tactics that very much fit into those two bottom circles that Steve talked about earlier. So push tactics is very much where we are concentrating on very targeted products or certain parts of a website for a client, and we will gain authority by getting those links one by one. Whereas the pull tactics is very much about giving the consumers the information they demand, which is associated to a brand or a category. So it's almost thinking about what they might be looking for and then working backwards to the brand that way. So we're going to start with push tactics. As I said, this is very much building links one by one and very much based on traditional PR tactics as well. The client here is Kiddie Care. I don't know if any of you know of them at all. They are an online retailer for all things to do with babies up until the age of about 3. And when they came to the market, they were pretty invisible, and they were up against, you know, other retailers such as Mothercare, which had, you know, a high street presence and a massive online presence, and also had an established name. So when they came to us, obviously they had quite a few things they wanted us to look at. As we said earlier, you know, getting the site right technically was obviously the first port of call, and there was a lot of work we needed to do there. But actually, while that was going on, they wanted us to start building authority to their site, so they were visible in Google against some of their competitors. So we did a mixture of keyword research and social listening to identify areas that they might be able to push through against competitors. So areas that they might not be concentrating on as much. So this would give kiddie care a better chance of visibility, within Google rankings. And from all this research, we decided that car seats, nursery and pushchairs were the key focus areas for us to work on. And this is just the data that we had from December 2012 when they first came to us as a client. So these were their positions in Google. So pushchairs and prams, they were number 9, which is pretty much bottom of page 1, which isn't ideal if you're the client. Nursery, they were at 6, and car seats, they were at 8. So again, they were on page 1, but not massively visible. Obviously, the idea is they want to be at the top. So again, as I said, technically we had the team working on the website in the background, but we decided that to get some of these small push tactics through, a mix of PR-based tactics would be the best approach to start some activity while the technical changes were being made, with the view that once the site is really robust, we can then do bigger projects. So we decided that this list here would be the best approach. So we're going to run through actual examples of where we did this and where we saw the results. So we'll cover off link chasing and foundation links, reactive pitching from daily news, planned features and topical events, media visits with online press, product placement, blogger projects, and then journalist requests as well. So the first tactic we use is a very simple one called link chasing, which is where we might see a piece of news about the brand appear online. That could be because it's been pushed through by their internal PR or marketing team or agency if they have one, or it's just naturally appeared there because the title has an interest in this. So Kiddie Care launched a new range of toys. Obviously Toys News thought that was newsworthy, so they picked up the story and ran with it. So we then had the opportunity to call the journalist there and say, we've seen the piece of news that you've done on the new range, which is great. To make that more, appealing to your audience, would you mind including a link back to the website so they can actually go and look at the brand themselves? Most of the time, people are very happy to do that for you, because it also gives their readers some, something else to look at. So, they're getting the benefit from that as well. So that's a tactic that is very simple to do. We monitor the news just through Google Alerts, and sometimes the PR teams will send us bits of coverage through that we are able to then link chase. Another tactic we use is foundation links. Now, again, depending on the client, we can go at this in various ways. So, starting off with directories and supplier sites is it's quite an obvious one. So. We can go to them and say, Kiddie Care supplies your toys, so it's like a kind of contra, asking them to link back, which is nice. But also sometimes we've got the opportunity with much more newsworthy stories to go to sites such as councils, which I'm not sure how much you will know about domain authority, but obviously Google gives every website a domain authority depending on how well they think they are appearing in search, and that ranges from 1 to 100. So say the most authoritative sites are 100, so the BBC would be recognised as 100, but also government sites are recognised as 100, or a very high 90s. So if you're able to get links on those sites, this will drive really, really juicy authority for your client. Kiddie Care randomly stock disposable nappies. Many council sites within their general information for people thinking about having babies will advise people on where they can purchase these. So as they're probably not as well stocked as they used to be. So this gave us the opportunity to go to all the councils within the country that had this kind of information on their site and inform them that Kiddie Care stocked disposable nappies. Reusable nappies. Again, so just from that activity alone, we've probably had 20 or 30 really strong council links driving back to Kiddie Care. Another tactic we use is reactive pitching.
It's the formatting a bit on.
Yes. Anyway, this is a screen grab of an email that we within Propellernet, and many PR agencies do this. we monitor the news every day, so we will monitor all the key national titles and all the key online sites such as MSN News, Yahoo, and we will pick out top stories from the day and any related subject areas. So we will monitor the travel section as we work in travel, retail, fashion, so we're picking out the best stories. Then we try to creatively think of ideas that we might be able to react with that, and obviously not every day there's an opportunity. Sometimes there are great opportunities that we can jump on straight away. Other days there might be ones we'll park for ideas further down the line in a campaign, so it's very useful for us to do this every day. This news story in particular came off the back of a celebrity last year had taken their child on holiday and they'd had an accident at the side of the pool. So there was lots of news about children's safety on holiday. So we packaged a feature up that provided information on tips and advice on taking children on holiday, the sorts of things you might want to consider purchasing or taking with you, which we were able to make some recommendations from some of our kiddie care products, as well as other products on the market. We need to provide a rounded view. And we managed to get this really nice piece on the Mail Online the following day. So it just shows that if you can hook onto these stories quite quickly, you can get really lovely bits of coverage, as well as also then getting the links back to your clients. Another tactic that we used was planning features ahead. So looking for relevant awareness days, awareness months, weeks, or seasonal trends that might happen that would be relevant to kiddie care, so very much around parenting. So it was Child Safety Week coming up, so again we put together some tips and advice on child-proofing your home, items that you might want to purchase to help you do that, or things you might want to consider. Again, we use an expert from kiddie care that they have who can advise people on that when they go into store and they're looking to buy nursery furniture. So we managed to use their expert and again place a feature on Babywell, which is obviously really targeted to the audience. Media visits with press. So this is very traditional PR tactic. So meeting up with journalists face to face is a brilliant way of building a relationship with a journalist, and is still very much recommended. So we met with a contact that I've had for quite a long time at The Guardian, because she also works online. Again,
that looks really good, doesn't it?
That looks rubbish. It doesn't look like that. We went for a coffee. I talked to her about what we were doing with kiddie care. She actually has very little kids herself, so she was very much interested in what we were doing. And she explained to me that she had some nice things coming up in the pipeline and would we be able to collaborate with her. And what you can't see there is actually she was doing a summer feature, and we managed to get some information about kiddie care swimming pools in there, or paddling pools for small children, again, which had all the information about the product and managed to link back to kiddie care. But obviously The Guardian is seen as a really high domain authority site, so again driving really great authority back to kiddie care. Product placement, it was another tactic. Again, you'll probably see this very much traditionally in print media, where there's lots of products on a page and they give you the information and price. On this occasion, kiddie care had an overstock of this product, which was actually one product. It was called a baby bundle, so all of these products were packaged up together, and they said that they actually had loads still in stock, because they didn't think, obviously in store it's just in a box, it's visually not very attractive, so they needed to get rid of some stock. So we managed to set up some really nice online competitions where all of the items were featured. It also drove people in store then looking for the product, as well as also entering the competition to win one themselves. Again, that included a link back to the website so people could order online or go in store and look for the product. Blogger product reviews, again, is really key, particularly as parenting bloggers is a huge community. There are services such as Tops 100 where bloggers can submit their details and you can contact them that way. Because we've been talking to parenting bloggers for a long time, we actually have a huge database of our own contacts, and they are a very very vocal community as well, because they're obviously all parents themselves. A lot of them are doing this daily, so they're very, very much, very talkative about their subject matter, which is their children. They're obviously very passionate about it. So again, the approach with this is, you have to really know who you're talking to and what they want to write about. So again, going back to the new product range that Kiddicare launched last year, we were able to get some samples of those products, and Kiddicare were really keen to get us to give these to bloggers and get their honest reviews. As we said earlier, we will always provide bloggers with the tools, but predominantly what they say is completely their honest view, and this is what the client wanted. And luckily all the reviews were great and they all thought the toys were lovely. But again, these just drive some really nice authority back to the site. Along with bloggers and all the online stuff, you get a nice mix of authority from links as well. And then also we subscribe to a system called Gulkana, which is owned by, it's kind of, Gulkana source information on journalists and bloggers now as well. And then the journalists and bloggers can submit requests, so we will then get email alerts come through. So you kind of have to sift through them and see if they're relevant for your clients. Again though, obviously they do crop up occasionally, and this is a really great way to react quickly for a client. So for example, this one, this blogger put out an alert saying she was looking to buy a car seat. She really needed some information. She was unsure as to what she should be looking for. Is it a car seat based on the weight of the baby, the age? She was very confused. This was her first child. So we were able to put her in touch with an expert at Kiddicare who could provide all that information. We also offered her a product for her to test with her child and then review. So again, driving that really nice authority back to the site, but also positioning the client as an expert in that field, which is added benefit for them as well. So that's just a few of the tactics that we've been doing for the last year for Kiddicare. As I said, while we've been getting the site technically robust in the background, and we've managed to see some really great results. So pushchairs, they are now at position 6, so they've gone up 3 positions. Prams, they're now at position 1, so they've gone up 8 positions, which is fantastic. Nursery, we've actually stayed at position 6 because we've decided that this would be a bigger project that will start now the site's robust. So this will be kind of what we're going to be working on this year. And car seats, again, they're at position 4, which is 4 positions. So all of this now makes them much more visible at the top of page 1 on Google. So the client's very happy. I think that's it from me.
So I'm going to look at pull tactics in a bit more detail. So as Sim said, how we earn quality links with initial promotional support. The aim here was to gain links through our PR approach, but actually create content that people naturally wanted to link to and share. That great content you might see online, you think, I've got to share that, I've got to let someone know. Is very rarely from a sort of a site like Kiddicare or Forest Holidays, we'll talk about in a moment. You need to actually create content that people want to talk about and link to. So I'm going to talk you through a strategy that we use for one of our clients, Forest Holidays, to see how this works in practice. So welcome to the forest. That's actually worked. The picture took quite a while to get to work, and there have been formatting issues. So yeah, that is a view from a forest holiday. I'm just going to ask, has anyone heard of or been on a forest holiday? You have? Ah, okay. There's still a bit of work to do, but I'm glad a couple of people have heard of them. For those who don't know what a forest holiday is, I'm assuming you've probably heard of centre parks. So imagine centre parks, but more for adults and with no sort of entertainment hub in the centre with swimming pools and that kind of thing. Less kids running around, there's far more sort of luxurious breaks in the forest, that kind of thing. So that's Forest Holidays. They came to us and this was their brief. It was quite a sort of a general brief, but often it's general and we kind of have to work out the brief with the client. But what they said was, how can we increase bookings via SEO? They wanted more bookings. They had a strategy to increase bookings, to grow and add more forest sites around the UK. So when we started working with them, they were, for the most part, invisible. these were some of the key terms we identified. These are how we wanted people to find forest holidays. So if they type into Google UK holiday, we want people to be able to see forest holidays because they offer holidays in the UK. They're outside the top 100 in Google. No one was finding them, thus they wouldn't be getting any traffic or any revenue from that term. Dog-friendly holidays, because they have dogs, they welcome dogs onto the site. They're outside the top 100. Again, no traffic, no revenue, no visibility, no authority. And UK breaks, which is quite a competitive term within Google. You've got people like Butlins and Haven and people like that competing for that term. They're at number 23, so slightly better, but again, invisible. Of the 200 target keywords, and for the purposes of this presentation, we're not going to go through how we sort of define those target keywords or keyword research, because it's far more of a technical thing. But we identified 200 target keywords and they were ranking for just 81 of them. When we say ranking, that could be at number 23. That doesn't mean number 1 or highly visible. So basically they weren't in a great position to increase bookings via SEO. So we had to come up with something that would help them. Just a reminder of this slide, because what we did first, again, was make sure the website was technically sound. We also deployed some of the push tactics that Sim has just talked through, so we could start driving links and social shares to increase positions straight away. However, as I said, terms such as UK holidays, you probably got around, I can't give you an exact figure off the top of my head, around 20,000 people a month typing that into Google within the UK and landing on the first page of Google. So it's highly competitive. You've got people paying for ads on that space, people like Haven, Butlins, Centre Parks. So highly competitive, so we needed more than just those push tactics. We needed a compelling strategy to actually get people to link to the Forest Holidays site and coming back for more time and again. So, welcome to Forestopedia. It was a working title, it's obviously a riff on Wikipedia, but it stuck. I'd be interested to hear views maybe at the end on the title because it's caused some debate within Forest Holidays and with us. But we created essentially a content hub, almost like a microsite on their main website, which focuses, their main website will talk about everything they sell. So it'll talk about their cabins, the prices, where you can buy, book now to avoid disappointment, all those kind of calls to action. Forestopedia, the idea was to create a compelling content hub that was completely separate from everything they sell and far more about the experiences you can expect when you go on a forest holiday. So what we did, we worked with and commissioned professional journalists, copywriters, and their own specialists. They have like forest rangers who are employed at every site. If you imagine kind of like Bill Oddie, but sort of employed by Forest Holidays directly. So we worked with those guys to actually create content for us. We didn't just write it ourselves. We wanted to get genuine authority, people that were well known and had things to say. Sorry, can you just go back one just a second? That's right. So you can see in the top, that's the sort of the navigation bar at the moment. We're still adapting it, but what we did, we created content around the histories of each forest area. So for example, one of their sites is in Sherwood Forest. So we talked all about Robin Hood and the myth of Robin Hood and the things you can kind of learn about when you're in that forest. The wildlife in each forest area, so that's forest life, that's where the Bill Oddie type characters, the forest rangers, talked about all the different wildlife you can see. And the experiences that you can explore whilst there. So we felt that that kind of content, you can see some of the sort of topics we've got around springtime, introducing one of their new sites. This was all around like spring last year. But we felt it would give us genuinely useful, relevant and recommendable content to link to, for people to link to and share after we gave it that initial PR push. So some examples of the content we created, I'm sure you'll love this pun on the left, fun guy to be with. It was a post all about sort of foraging in the forest, because around autumn time all the sort of the fungi or the mushrooms come to life. So one of the forest rangers knows all about fungi. We found that out, and he wrote a really sort of interesting post on all the things you can see, took some photos, that kind of thing. So some nice content around that. All of these pieces were they were founded in genuine insight. So it wasn't just us kind of sticking a finger in the air and going, oh, we'll just do a piece on mushrooms because you find mushrooms in the forest. We'll do a piece on stargazing because you might want to do stargazing in the forest. They were reflective of seasonal trends, and we also looked at kind of what people were searching for when they were looking for forest holidays or around forest related terms as well. So we knew foraging was a key topic, but stargazing also, because it's so dark, like little light pollution in the forest, you can go stargazing there, so it was a good topic for a post. So the concept, in a nutshell, was to have a magazine-style blog with regularly updated content, which Google likes, that we could drive links to, and when people were aware of what it was after the initial PR push, they would want to link to it and share it socially naturally. And you'll probably be able to see, in fact you are able to see, that we added sort of social share buttons to each post to encourage social sharing. So, you know, tweet this, share this, +1, you probably all seen that kind of thing, but we added that in just to encourage people to share. This is another example of stargazing content that I just wanted to show you, because we think it's sort of genuinely useful, and our strategy was really just to help people make a decision on why they should book a forest holiday, and when they booked, what they could do whilst they were there. So we created, in fact I did the research on this and I didn't know anything about stargazing, so I had to read the book, and I realised I had it upside down, so I was putting the stars in the wrong areas, so I had to redo it all. So it took a while, but these are month by month downloadable PDFs that are available on Forestopedia, and it's of what you can see in the night sky at any given time. So this is actually sort of right now, you can see these kind of constellations in the sky. We added information on the different constellations, stargazing facts for kids, your first 5 constellations to spot, and the kind of equipment you will need. So if you went on a forest holiday, you would be able to download this and actually be there in the forest and kind of, you know, use it as a guide. But also, it's good content for people to link to, and for us to kind of push out. So we took this great content and we seeded it out to drive links and social shares, but also to help brand awareness, because not a lot of people knew about forest holidays, so we wanted them to reach a new audience. So once we had all that kind of content in place, how did we seed it out? Well, we created a press release announcing the launch of Forestopedia, which we sent to key travel media. We submitted to several paid news wires, which helped to disseminate the news online. And then we created media lists for each of the key content areas that we'd started to explore. So things like relationships, food, stargazing, as I've discussed, photography we looked at as well. And what we did, we didn't just sort of say you might want to cover our stargazing visuals. We created what we thought were compelling angles for each different type of online media. So this is an example of the stargazing visuals. Sites, parenting sites, because we included stargazing facts for kids, and we thought they were useful for parents who may want to take their kids stargazing for the first time when in the forest. And we also hooked in, I don't know if you've seen recently, Stargazing Live was on the BBC. So last year when we created these guides, we actually sort of hooked it in with Stargazing Live, and we're able to sort of say, look, that's going on, pitch to sites, so this is going on at the moment, it's topical, a lot of people are searching for it. We've created this content that you may want to link to. So sites like What to Do with the Kids, link to the Forest Holidays main site, and also the downloadable guides here, and then Prima Junior, they link to it as well. But you can see they're all editorially gained. They're not sort of paid for, they're not adverts. They were all journalists writing about these stargazing charts and saying why you should go there, why Forest Holidays is good for stargazing. So it helps us to drive that authority and to let more people know that Forest Holidays actually existed. So this is just a sort of a recap really why we created Forestopedia. We wanted to build a useful resource which will last. Google likes regularly updated content. If you have a static website and you just sort of create loads of quite thin content, you're not going to rank highly for anything. You need regularly updated content. We need regularly updated content as well, so we can seed it socially and with online media as well. And we want more people to link to the Forest Holidays site, so if you've got good content on there, that's going to help. As I said, brand awareness. We wanted to make more people aware of what Forest Holiday can offer. If you land on their main site, it's great, but you'll just have, or you could go and stay in a log cabin. What can you actually do whilst you're there? So we explored that to encourage the use of social signals to the site, to allow us to build authority in key sectors as well, and crucially to help us align the Forest Holidays site with everything that Google is looking for. So from the Forestopedia launch, and this was just the launch, so this was just the first 3 months when it launched, I think it was April last year? Yeah, April last year. We gained 22 pieces of positive press coverage, and they contained 33 links to Forestopedia and the Forest Holidays website. We gained a further 20 pieces of PR coverage, not containing links. So that was from the news wires that we put the press release on. Often sites will scrape that and they won't include links, but it's still useful for brand awareness. Sim mentioned domain authority, so like sites like the BBC are at 100, some of the smaller blogs will probably be at like 10 or 15. So we always do an average, and the average of that coverage was a pretty high 55, which means all the links we were getting were driving a nice amount of authority to the Forest Holidays site. And I talked about the increasing importance of social shares as well. Now these stats probably don't sound that impressive when you look at big brands, like, I don't know, Coca-Cola or Virgin, something like that, who get thousands of social shares for any post. They could just put hello, retweet please, and you get 10,000 people doing it. For Forest Holidays, who hadn't been doing a lot of this work, it was a starting point, and we built on this, but from the original coverage and from the launch of Forestopedia, we gained 437 social shares, around 250 Facebook likes and Twitter retweets. We helped to grow their social following as well, so then we had more people we could seed new content to, so we grew their social following by 75%, which is really important within digital marketing, that you continue to grow your social following, but in the right areas as well. It's all well and good getting 10,000 more people on your Facebook page or on your Twitter following, finding the right kind of people, because we were creating useful content and seeding it out in the right way to the right kind of people. The followers that we were gaining were people that were genuinely engaged with what they were offering. This is the most important part though, so I'm not going to claim that this is all down to PR, but it certainly played a big part once we had the technical aspect of the site in place, and once we created the content. We started to rank for new terms, so terms that Forest Holidays had never ranked for before and didn't know that they could rank for. Just because we created that content and seeded it out in the right way. 27 new search terms that drove traffic, so things like Beginner's Guide to Stargazing. Those people may not be looking for a holiday specifically, but if they land on the Forest Holidays site, the thought is that they'll engage with the site and then understand what Forest Holiday is, and they may return and book. And Best Forest Holidays Park for Kids, and numerous other examples, but I just thought I'd pick out a couple because there were 27 of them. So we started to see far more rankings that were driving traffic and driving revenue for Forest Holidays. And just an example of some of the coverage that we got. We love doing this in PR, just sort of mastheads and things like that. We're so used to doing coverage books and things like that. I couldn't help myself put a slide in. So this was the press release we put together. So Forest Holidays explores British forests on new websites. So we've got coverage on sites like Travel Pods, like travel specific media, and Travolution, which is all about, I'd urge you to check that site out actually, Travolution, if you're interested in travel and digital media. Generally it's a really interesting site if you've never seen it before, but they covered us, digital journal, that kind of thing. And then you can see some of the angles that we picked out. So we worked with a relationship expert who looked at are short breaks beneficial to your relationship, and then we took that angle and we pitched it to sites like Cosmopolitan. That's probably where my reference to Cosmopolitan came from earlier. Can a holiday save your relationship? Simply Woman magazine covered it, and Huffington Post covered it as well, all driving links and authority back to the Forest Holidays site. And bloggers covered it as well. They covered it naturally, which is what we were planning for. Bloggers that we knew well. We weren't sending them the press release and saying, oh, please just put this press release on your blog. We're saying, thought you might be interested in this new content resource we've created, and they covered it, which was great, or some of them did, not all of them. That would be an amazing result. And some examples of the social seeding we did as well. So you can see some influencers there sort of talking about their great breaks at Forest Holidays, linking to Forestopedia. And what we did, because we knew social shares were becoming more important, we didn't just have a PR plan. Within that plan, we incorporated sort of a robust social seeding plan. So we actually wrote tweets, Google Plus posts, Facebook posts with the correct hashtags that were going to help Forest Holidays reach a new audience. And we asked them to seed it out on their social channels. So you'll sort of see people liking it and commenting on it. We did a piece on films in the forest and need to know advice for parents. And you see them sort of tweeting around stargazing and astronomy. All of it was designed to, again, drive authority back to the Forest Holidays site and allow them to rank for more terms and gain more visibility. So back to the original brief, how can we increase bookings via SEO? That's what Forest Holidays asked us to do. And just a reminder where they were. They were outside the top 100 for both UK holidays and dog-friendly holidays. They were number 23 for UK breaks. They ranked for just 81 of the 200 target keywords. Now, really crucial here, I'll point out again that it's not just down to PR. It would be inaccurate to claim that PR is the sole driver for the improvements that are up on the screen now. but when coupled with a sound technical footing, great content and the PR push we gave it, is really just a way of pushing the content that you've got. We've seen some pretty huge improvements. In fact, they're award winning, not to advertise ourselves too much, but we won some awards last year based on our work for Forestepedia, which was great because we'd only just made a start on it really. There's many improvements to make, one of which might be the title. But UK Holidays, outside the top 100, now ranks number 5. So within Google, about 33% of the clicks will go to the number 1 position, 18% for number 2, and then it will filter down. So position 5 still isn't like perfect number 1, but we have been at number 1 for UK Holidays, and it's continued to fluctuate. So where they were getting no traffic, they might be picking up an additional, let's say, this isn't an exact figure by the way, but they might be picking up an additional 6,000 visitors to their site who might then book a forest holiday. Dog-friendly holidays outside the top 100 at number 3, same thing. And UK Breaks has been at number 1 and 2, so pretty much ever since we started working with them. So they're gaining thousands more visitors to their site, and because of the content we've created, they're far more engaged with what a forest holiday has to offer. It's not just paying for and landing traffic on the site saying, there you go, book a holiday. It's like, we're willing to give you a lot more information about what a forest holiday is so you can make an informed decision. So instead of 80 of the 200 target keywords, it now ranks for 132 of them. Still work to do, but we're continuing to sort of push ahead with this strategy, and we're seeing some really big improvements. This is the bigger picture. It's fair, and this is accurate, to say that Forest Holidays is now one of the most authoritative sites in its target markets. So you can see this from August 2013, so these aren't up-to-date stats. If anything, they've improved since then, so I don't want you to think I'm being misleading, showing you the best stats and then they've all tailed off. But site revenue, so people booking on site, is up 96% since we started working with them. Unique users, so new people landing on the site, up 18%. Booking transactions are up 41%. So because of the content we've created, and I said more people are engaged, so they're far more likely to convert, to actually get to the stage where they book. Then when we talk about non-branded natural search traffic, so you might see a Forest Holidays TV ad, you might hear about them from word of mouth for people that have been on Forest Holidays, so you might just type in Forest Holidays or go direct to the site. Non-branded is obviously where people find it through a term like UK Holidays or UK Breaks or terms like that where they don't know they're looking for a forest holiday. That's up 41% alone, and we delivered a 37% increase in revenue from the channel. So when they said how can we increase bookings via SEO, this is what we managed to achieve with that kind of content and PR strategy coupled together. That was it from us. I don't know how we're doing for time actually.
Perfect,
we might be a little bit early.
Perfect time. No,
Great.
really good timing. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you very much.